Wake me up before you go. Yes, that is Wham. And I say that because, one, I wanted to stick that song in your head because if it's in my head, it should be in your head too. You're welcome for that. Two, Wham is an acronym for the Women Anglers of Minnesota who, are my guest for this week's podcast, the Full Scale Outdoors Podcast. I've been trying to get these ladies together for a long time, but as you can imagine, during the ice fishing season, they're busy ice fishing. So it's tough to do. But I was coming back from snow goose hunting. I was kind of on the way. They were available. I'm like, let's just do it. And we met at the Exchange Food and Drink restaurant and sat down, had a meal with them, put the microphones on, and recorded a quick episode. Just kind of get out there. Had a great time talking with Patty and Aaron, and look forward to doing more stuff with them. It's pretty cool. I learned a lot. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that the Women Anglers of Minnesota was a thing. I've seen them on social media and that, but I did not know that they've been around as long as they have. So like 42 years or something incredible like that. Obviously, we talk about that and many other things. It was a great podcast. I really enjoyed sitting down and talking to them. So let's get into it. Here is the Full Scale Outdoors Podcast with the ladies of the Women Anglers of Minnesota. Oh, here we go, boys.
Go.
Ooh, I love that sound. This is a good one. Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right. Everybody can hear everybody. I'm going to have to do the Wham joke again. Oh, my God. Nah, I'll just throw it in later. People will never know. So, Women Anglers of Minnesota. Thanks, ladies, for doing this. Appreciate it. We've been talking for, a while trying to organize this.
Yep.
The single hardest thing about this podcast has been getting people a date that works for all parties. Mm-hmm. It's almost impossible because at outdoors hobbyists,
yep, we're always on the go.
Outdoor things, and if it's somebody that actually has an outdoor business, then they're insane. They don't.
Oh yeah.
There's no off season.
I can't even imagine.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I knocked one out earlier today, so that was great. So I get two of them.
You're on a roll.
I am because I release it. I release one a week, and I haven't had one since I've been out in the Dakotas guiding snow goose hunters. So I feel good. I feel relief that I got knocking two of these out will cover me as I'm in the Keys fishing. So
cool. We're happy to help you out with that.
Well, hopefully I can get some down there. I want to snag a guide, or I'll just go down to the docks and be like, "Who wants to do a podcast? Let's do this. Sit down. I'll talk to anybody." But I guess I found you guys. Yeah, I put a search looking for guests on fishing. Was Brainerd Lakes area fishing on Facebook? I believe it was. And so Patty got a hold of me, and then we started talking. But I know some people through social media that are members of Wham. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to say that just. I feel like it needs some emphasis.
Exactly. You're not the only one.
But you guys give me a history. It's been around a long time, right?
Yes. So the club was actually born in 1977. It was started by a group of housewives that came together over their common love of fishing. And legend has it that the club was actually started on the waters of Lake Minnetonka over their common interest in muskie fishing, of all things.
That's cool. Yeah, just jump into one of the hardest ones. That's
exactly.
Fine.
I mean, if you think about what it was like in the 70s, you have women fishing. That's like, whoa.
Right.
Then you have women fishing for muskies. That's like, wait a minute.
And trying to get into tournaments.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a weird thing that, it was a men's club for the longest time. I don't think that's really the case anymore. But it's still kind of a mental barrier for a lot of women, and it's not even say for a lot of women. I think there's still a little bit of a mental barrier just for society,
right?
Which is actually helping and a hindrance. So it's like some people are kind of making they have a YouTube channel and like they're a pretty girl and they're catching fish, like then they get really popular. Like it's, ooh, this is a pretty girl that fishes. Like it's this, we found a unicorn.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it kind of makes it more special, but in a way, it's like, well, does only the pretty ones matter? I mean, I like
Right.
fishing. You know what I mean? But I guess that's just general American consumerism too. That could probably be for anything, whether it's sports or pool
And
playing or
nowadays
poker
on
or-
social media, everybody has like their personality or, the persona that they're kind of trying to put out there.
Sure.
We have all kinds of members in our club. We do have members that have never picked up a fishing rod before. We also have members that compete on tournament circuits or that do have a big social media following. So we're kind of all over the board. We welcome everybody, but our main goal is to get more women in the outdoors, teach them the skills they need to get out there and be confident on the water. Like you were saying, I think for many years it did carry such a stigma that this was a man's sport. But now women are breaking down those barriers. We're seeing in surveys that we make up over half of the new anglers coming into the industry. So we are making a path and a name for women in angling. And I think some of those older stigmas you're going to see kind of start to go to the wayside.
Well, that's good. Fishing needs it. I mean, all outdoor activities are kind of on a downward slide, so any reason for uptick is a good reason.
That's part of our mission too, is not only are we all about getting women into the outdoors, all of our proceeds that we make from our tournament and fundraising efforts, those go towards funding our other mission of getting more children into the outdoors too. So each year we donate hundreds and hundreds of rods and reels, brand new, to kids fishing organizations like clinics and stuff like that. So we are thinking of that future generation. That's actually really important to us. So
Cool.
we're doing our part, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is super cool. So you guys had Mille Lacs was your last big event,
Right.
right? You had a tournament up there.
Yep, that was our ice fishing tournament. That was our second annual ice fishing tournament. Last year
How many teams?
I think we had 60 teams, over 60 teams.
Yep.
Wow,
We had
that's pretty good.
140, I think, signed up, so that would be
Yeah.
70 teams.
Yep, 70 teams. I mean, the max is 150 for our tournaments.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Weather conditions were not that favorable
No,
on Mille Lacs.
it was a tough
month.
day.
It was a tough
With all the
month.
snow we got this year, lake travel was super hard.
Yeah, really limited.
But, our women went out there and they pushed through, and we had some nice
that
fish
was-
brought in, and
That was a panfish tournament, right? If I'm
Yep.
correct?
crappie, sunfish, and perch.
How many of each?
A bag limit of 5. You could weigh in 5 of each in your
Five
bag.
of each.
Yeah. And for that tournament, we actually have their women that are out there on their ATVs and their snowmobiles. But we have a lot of women that are new to ice fishing, that don't have the gear,
Sure.
don't have the ability to punch their own holes and all that kind of stuff. So we also do a community area
That's awesome.
that they get punched ahead of time. So everybody of every skill level can fish in the tournament. And a lot of the winners came out of the community area this year.
That's super cool. She's pointing to herself. What did you place?
We had third place.
Nice.
We actually did have a snowmobile. We were mobile, fortunately, but we checked out a couple spots in the morning outside of the community area, and we weren't having a ton of luck. We caught a couple of perch that we ended up weighing in, but then we went over to the community section. It sounded like everybody over there was having fun. They were cheering each other on, and every fish was being celebrated, it seemed like. So we wanted to see what all the hype was about. So we went over there, just dropped some lines. We were chatting with some of our friends, and the crappie bite was pretty big over there. So
Nice.
we ended up taking third place, my partner and I, who's actually the president of our organization.
Ringers. Ringers.
Rigged. No.
But yeah, it's really cool to hear the women cheering each other. What
Yeah.
nice fish! It's a tournament. You
Yeah.
know, but then we have some really hardcores. I mean, we had one girl that you're allowed to punch your first hole before the 11 o'clock horn goes off.
Oh, wow.
You just can't drop down a
Sure,
line or can't drop down your juicer or anything like that. And the one girl actually broke her hand and sliced her hand open.
And she
using her-
fished.
She
She stayed
fished
on the ice
whole
the whole
4
thing.
hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she left and she went to urgent care and
She came back right in time to accept her trophy on the
Nice.
stage. It was pretty epic.
but yeah.
Well, we don't feel awesome for her, but,
But,
You don't
that
feel
was
awesome for it.
But I'm just saying, is we have every
Yeah.
level. 2 years ago, on our first winter trip, I got to catch on video a woman catching her first fish ever, either hard water or open water.
That's pretty cool.
at 50 years old.
50 years
Yeah.
old, and here she is catching her first fish ever, and she had no problem taking that thing right off the hook
Yeah.
herself, even. So
That's
it was
awesome.
pretty cool. So we have every level of experience.
Yeah, that's cool. I joined an ice fishing league this year, Minnesota Made. And,
Oh, you did? Cool.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's kind of the same thing. Like everybody is out there helping everybody else. Like before the event time, unloading wheelers, and if anybody like broke down or battered, like there was always somebody to step right up. And yeah, we're all competitors, But even pre-fishing, we'd share information. You don't see some. I mean,
Right.
like.
Can't give away all your secrets,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But I mean,
Within reason.
Exactly. Within reason is a perfect way to put it. It's
Yep.
like, when we'd all bullshit on the ice, we'd be like, hey, how you doing? How this thing? What'd you find over there? Nothing much. And I don't think I was being lied to.
Yeah.
But
You never know.
yeah, we did pretty good. Finished in the top 10 out of 25 teams, so we're pretty
Wow.
happy with that as
That's
league
nice.
rookies.
Yep.
And so yeah, it was a lot of fun. But with that kind of going into the women anglers of Minnesota and your tournaments, like I started thinking, like, why? I don't think it's in the league rules that women can't be part of Minnesota
No.
Made. Now there needs to be an opening. Like,
Right.
I just got lucky this year. Some people just happened to not renew their membership or whatever. So I was like, heck yeah, sign me up. I've been wanting to do a league for a while now.
Right.
But I mean, I know some pretty decent female anglers that
Yeah.
Actually,
right
two of
in.
our members participated in the UPL this year.
Yep,
Allie
there's
a couple,
Widdens
yep.
and Maddie Ogg.
Maddie Ogg.
Yep,
First all-female team
that's awesome.
in the league. So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
In a way, it's cool. In a way, it's like, why isn't this just a thing?
yeah.
But I guess it just isn't. I mean, it's got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
And this is pretty new, I think, for a lot of people and for the industry. I mean, even when I joined the club 5 years ago, we had over maybe 125 members. We had less than 200 members. So I think after the recent sport show we did, the Northwest Sport Show, we just hit the 700 mark. So we are growing fast. And like I said, I think this is going to be more normal. It's becoming more socially accepted. The industry is now making products catered towards women specifically. So they're seeing that we do have a presence in the industry, which is awesome.
yeah, that's great. I gotta imagine like clothing gear. It would be super irritating to not be able to get women's sizes. And
It is. But luckily,
rain gear or whatever it is. It's like that would just,
Yeah.
that would be miserable.
well, we're shorter and we have different curves and
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do
Sizes,
it.
so-
The size numbers thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
What do you mean you're size 3? I've seen like 10 size 3s that are all different shape. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna I'm gonna wear a size 3 jeans. I'm like, I don't think that girl's wearing a size 3 jeans.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's gonna wear a size 3 jeans. They're gonna fall off for her. She's a different kind of size 3. Like, how
Right.
does that work? How do
Yeah.
you not just have inseam and waist
Yeah.
like guys' pants?
See, and when I see those numbers, I'm like, what does this mean? I'm like, I just need like one number.
I don't know how you ladies do it. I don't get it. I don't understand. It just makes no sense to me how it can just one number
Yeah.
can cover such a wide variety of. Like
We're
ladies'
complicated.
body
We're
styles.
women, right?
Well, that's that's
We're from
right.
Venus. You're from Mars. That's a book,
Yes,
It is. I think it's Mars and Venus might be the other way around, but I don't know.
Oh.
I didn't read it.
I think you're right, actually.
I know everything is there know about women,
No, but
That's
our
what they all
club,
and
say.
that's that is that I know nothing.
False news.
and our
Fake
club and other clubs, the industry is starting to listen to us, like she said, whether it's color or, we need this size or just because it's pink. Mm-hmm. Personally, I hate pink.
I
Yeah,
hate pink
that's
too.
But,
my
you know-
wife hates pink too, and that's kind
I'm
of
a
thing.
blue
It's like,
kinda girl.
we're gonna make clothes. We're gonna cater to the female outdoorsman. Pink camo, pink this, pink that. It's like
We're
How
Well,
about
and the
make
other
it
thing
fit
is they take
and
a.
functional.
And the other thing is they take a cheap fishing rod combo and slap pink on it. And
Sure,
It's
probably
like,
upcharge it.
we don't want the pink. We want the good stuff.
Yeah.
You can have
Exactly.
pink and good stuff, but you can have pink.
Why can't
that's-
it be both?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Good point. Very good
Yeah.
point.
I don't know. It's got to be highly irritating. But we had at my bass club, Loon State Bassmasters, we have 2 ladies in there. They're
Wonderful.
both really good. I mean, they're good sticks. Nothing bad to say about either one of them. Like, I'm pretty sure I've been beaten by both of them. So.
I was going to say, I bet they outfish you too, huh?
Well, they have, but I've also beat them on any given day. So it's
Yep.
I think everybody in the league is pretty competitive. I
Yep.
think the skill level is pretty even.
Yep.
You know, when you take it to that level where you're joining a club or you're fishing tournaments on a regular basis, I think most people are gonna, you know. I mean, my first year was a little bit of a rude awakening. I wouldn't say a rude awakening, but it was like, thought I was a pretty good angler. And then, which by
Reality
comparison
check.
to most weekend anglers, sure. But then when you fish against other good anglers, you're like, oh, so not that good.
A little humble pie.
Yeah, like not that, which is good though. It ups your game.
Right.
So I
Yep.
mean, I learn new things and I learn how to fish harder and focus better and maximize your time on the water. Like you just find, you know, every minute counts and you get streamlined. It just makes you a better angler all the way around. You challenge yourself.
And we have members that when they join, they're already tournament anglers. But we also have some of the women that come into the group. They've learned how to fish. We just had somebody else the other day. One of the ladies was starting to ask about how you get into bass tournaments and, you know, how do you get involved with that kind of stuff. And people are, you know, commenting and supporting them and, you know, go for it and those kinds of things. So it's, you know, it's one of those circle of support
Sure.
that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise.
That's awesome. And Wham's been around for a long time
Yes. Oldest standing active women's fishing club in the country.
in the country. Yay, Minnesota.
Fact.
How many years?
42 this year.
42.
Yep,
That's
1977.
pretty impressive. Inducted into the Minnesota Hall of Fame this year. Is that right?
Yep, the Minnesota Fishing Hall of Fame. Finally earned our way in after 42 years of
And
building.
the amazing part was our original our first president,
Sybil Smith.
was there at the induction ceremony.
That's awesome.
Yes. So, yeah, that was pretty
And
cool.
Sybil, she's written books on where to fish in the metro area.
Very cool.
She's been around a long time, and she was our first president. So, yeah, we were honored to have her there with us. She's still a huge supporter of where we've taken the club and where we're going, and she's at every sport show and every big event that we had our 40th anniversary. She was there. She's at the Hall of Fame induction. So she's definitely made her mark on the industry, and we've just been very fortunate to have her be a part of our history as well.
And so many women.
Yes. She's definitely one of those pioneer women that you think
Yeah,
of.
that's
who
awesome.
We've got some women that have been in the club for 25 and 30 years and have raised their daughter. When they got into the club, they may have been married, but all of a sudden they had a baby, and now they're bringing their babies to the events. And now
That's
those
pretty
babies
cool.
are grown and members, and they're having their own babies. We have some
Yep.
2 and 3 generation
families.
families that have been in it all along, and we have some 2 and 3 generations that have only been in the club for 4 or 5 years, the written hours,
Right.
6 years, something like that.
Yep.
And 2 years, in last year's ice tournament, we had a granddaughter take second place in the
Nice.
ice tournament. So
Fun.
making lots and lots of memories. And, you know, like I said, every age range. We actually have a youth membership that's, 12 to 16. And we're doing whatever we can to support the youth.
That's good. It needs to be done for sure. You guys got a big event coming up this summer, right?
Yes. It's Saturday, June 1st. Woman Lake. It's in Hackensack, Minnesota. Awesome fishery.
Woman
Really
Lake.
good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice
I know,
choice.
right?
It's just kind of a coincidence.
Exactly. So we actually do a new lake rotation every 2 years, or we'll be 2 years at Woman Lake. This is our last year, and then we're going to a different lake, which is to be announced at this year's tournament. But the 2 years prior, we were at Osaka. So we kind of jump around a little bit.
Osakis is a good lake.
Oh, yeah.
Big panfish.
Nice crappies.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So this year we're going back to Woman Lake, 42nd annual tournament. We have spots for 150 women. Typically, we get close to selling out. We haven't sold out since I've been the
Oh,
tournament
there you
director.
go, ladies. Get on it.
Exactly.
Pass the word around.
Yep.
Get signed up.
Yeah. Multi-species tournament. We welcome all ages and
How much
skill
is it?
levels. $120 for the tournament fee. You have to be a member to fish, and our membership is only $25 a year. So,
Perfect.
yeah, it includes your meals on Friday and Saturday and your chance to take home a big check. We give out over $10,000 in cash prizes. So,
I'm dressing in drag. I'll see you there.
get your wig out.
Yeah, first place in each of the 5 categories is $500 and works its way down to 5th place. And then we have a big fish that's $2,000
Yep, the grand prize.
grand prize. And
Seriously
then,
identifying as a woman for that weekend.
and then we have our Wham Slam, which if you get a fish in each of the 5 categories, you weigh that bag in, and if you've got the biggest bag, I think this year it's up to $2,500. Every year that somebody doesn't win it, we add another $500 on it.
Yeah, it
that's pretty
rolls
cool.
over.
Nice.
Rolls over. So last year nobody won it, so this year it's
I don't
20.
think the year
How-
before
what's,
either.
so what's the fish you can catch now again?
So we have northern pike, walleye, bass, which can either be a largemouth or a smallmouth, crappie, sunfish, and then we have a fun fish category you can enter for an extra $5, and I think it's perch this year.
No rock
So-
bass. Rock bass don't count.
Well, rock
was
bass
rock
have
bass
been
in
included
Osakis.
other years.
I
Yeah.
was like, that's like the ugly stepchild of fish.
Yeah.
I
People are like,
know,
oh, it's
right?
rock bass. Which I actually like rock bass. I eat them. I think.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. they're-
Interesting.
They're good.
Never
Have
tried
you-
it.
See, that's.
I
it's
think
just,
I
eating
don't eat
bass
fish at
is like
all.
a faux pas.
Okay,
Like
well
people
here's.
don't.
But rock bass aren't.
Aren't.
All right, here we're gonna get dork out on fish species here a little bit. Bass aren't even bass. Largemouth and smallmouth aren't bass. They're sunfish. They're part of the sunfish
They are.
family.
There are,
True bass are your temperate bass, your stripers, striped bass,
Yep,
white
yep.
bass, yellow bass, white perch.
Okay.
Those are your bass species.
Oh.
I learned that from my DNR poster for them. From
Yeah.
the
See, I
Northwest
would think
Sport
it'd be
Show.
the other way around. Because
So-
to me, like a yellow bass looks more like a panfish.
Right.
You know?
It does.
Like I would think it would be opposite. Same with striped bass. What's the little white?
White bass.
Yeah, white bass. Those look like
Yep, those are
white
actual
panfish.
bass.
That's crazy.
What we call bass are sunfish.
Okay, interesting.
In the sunfish family, I should say. They're
Yeah.
not sunfish. They're whatever. But
Yeah.
rock
Rock
bass,
bass.
don't share the same not mystique isn't the right word, but the like being shamed for keeping a bass by a bass angler or somebody. Rock bass
Stigma.
aren't in that. Yeah, they don't have that stigma. That's the word. Thank you very
Okay.
much. They have quite the opposite stigma. That's not. They don't have a good public image. They need a new PR person, and I'm happy to take up the mantle.
I
Because
see that.
rock bass, they're great. They taste good. They just listen. If I filleted up a pile of bluegills, crappies, and rock bass, and I put them on a plate for you, cooked, breaded and cooked,
I wouldn't know the
would
difference.
offer you $10,000 if you could find that rock bass, and you will not be able to find that rock bass.
Okay.
What I like about them is they bite readily.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody keeps them, you catch really good ones, and per inch, I think they yield more meat because they have super broad shoulders. Used for swimming around rocks and
Right.
picking out crayfish from underneath all
Yeah.
the crevices and stuff like that.
I may take
Okay.
you up on that challenge for the
Same.
$10,000.
Might have to dial
Only
that
because
back
of
a
the
little bit.
$10,000. But I don't actually eat fish. I've
Oh,
learned to
that's
then
love
you're
right.
fish,
definitely
and
not-
I
you're
don't.
definitely not going to be able to pick.
I
it up.
take them home for your parents.
The best
I
Usually.
take him home to my parents and my sisters. So yeah.
Yeah. Bet still stands.
You're a
then.
good friend to have,
You're definitely
Patty.
not going to be able. If you don't eat fish, you're definitely not going to be able to know the difference.
Yeah.
But they're the same. I actually challenged a buddy of mine one time.
I'm gonna do
And
that this summer.
I didn't offer him $10,000. I think I offered him $100 or something. He couldn't. He was like one of the biggest voices against can't eat those things, are trash.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
all
what I
right,
would
well,
say.
we caught one while we are fishing. I'm like, well, I'm gonna mix this in with the fish we're cooking up tonight. If you can pick it, if you can find it, I'll give you $100. He couldn't find it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
even after I
crazy.
proved that, he still refused to eat them. Now they can get wormy in the summertime with the little white grubs and some of the black
Yeah.
stuff, which can be a little off-putting. It's not doesn't harm you once they're cooked up. They're done. Doesn't change the flavor at all. It's just when you clean them, you're like, you know. So I can
yeah.
see that. But sunfish and perch get that too. They get the exact
They
same
do.
things.
Yep.
So for some reason, people overlook that. It's like they just need a better PR, man. They just need. They're the ugly
They need
stepchild.
Dale.
Yeah, they're the ugly stepchild. Let's
Yeah.
make rock bass great again.
Is that your slogan for
Yeah,
the year?
it's gonna be. It's like 2 podcasts in a row we've riffed off of that saying. Thanks for that, Trump. Got something good out of this.
Exactly.
No, I only brought up the fact that I don't eat because some people go, first of all, they're surprised that I'm a woman that likes to fish. But then they find out that I
You don't
love
even-
to fish and I don't even eat them.
Yeah, I got a buddy the same way. He loves to fish, and he's always like, "Yeah, come fish with me." And the best part about it, you get to keep all my fish because I don't eat it. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I love fish, but I rarely keep them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Unless I want a meal, I'm usually a catch and release.
Yeah,
we
I'll
promote
keep-
that
Yeah,
with
I
Wham.
keep,
we
I
do.
keep the meal I'm going to eat for that night
Yeah.
pretty much. Now, in the tournament league, like on event day, we keep our fish because you got to weigh them in. Generally, it's super cold.
Yeah.
So,
Are you
while
talking
you're
about
weighing
the-
them and you're doing that.
the winter tournament?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Minnesota Made Ice Fishing
Yep.
Tournament. And, you keep them in water, but,
You can't
carting
put 'em
around on a
back.
4-wheeler all
Yeah.
day long, they're probably not
Not
going to
gonna
make
make
it,
it, yeah.
So we keep them then, but they don't go to waste. I mean, eat them. The wife and kid loves it.
Well, and see, all of our tournaments are catch and release. And like for the open water, if we catch them, bring them in for weigh-in, and they're still alive, we're going to release them. But if not, we actually have a member that takes them up to the Raptor Center.
Oh, feed the
So
eagles.
nobody's,
such.
they're not actually allowed to keep the fish from this tournament.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So how does that work, like with the new pike regulations? Because there's length restrictions.
Well, we have to go by any restriction there is on a lake.
Okay.
So if the lake has a walleye
That's
slot, if the lake has a walleye
Yeah,
slot,
we follow that.
If the lake has a walleye slot, we go by that. If a contestant brings in a fish that's outside of that slot, they can get DQ'd on it.
Disqualified.
Sure.
We actually had somebody get disqualified last year for the open water tournament because they brought in a northern that was outside the slot.
Yeah, you might run into that. You might want to make sure everybody's aware of it because
Yeah.
it's not a big northern.
No.
Like it's
Yeah.
what 24 inches and under. You can keep 10 of them or something
Okay.
like that. But then I think you can keep 2 over 32 maybe.
Right. Okay.
So, but that's a big.
Deal.
I mean, there's 10 inches
Yeah.
of northern,
Yeah.
which is the bulk of the northerns that live
And
in
I
this
don't think
state.
this was that big of a northern, but it was outside the slot for that
It
lake.
was
and
super
That lake,
close, I
sure.
think, and
It was
I think
really
they just
close,
took the
yeah.
risk, and unfortunately, it didn't go their way.
It's
but-
not worth it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Got to risk it for the biscuit, as this.
Whoever they are, and I don't think I've
My
ever
grandpa?
uttered
No.
those words. I love your
I've never
grandpa.
heard that term.
I've heard it. I don't think I've ever uttered it. But if your grandpa says it, I'm in.
That's what goes through my head when I'm
That's
outdoors. I'm like,
hilarious.
should I make a bridge and cross this broken shore? Should I trespass? No, just joking. Let's edit that
No,
out.
nope, it's in. There's no editing. I don't agree.
Is
I
that why
don't
it's called
agree with
full
anything.
scale?
Yeah,
Everything.
everything, all encompassing, fishing, hunting, foraging, you name it.
With a little edge.
Maybe we need, yeah. So, like, is there a shared hunting thing with the Women Anglers Minnesota? Does it cross over?
We
Or
have
is there
some
talk
members
about doing a women
hunting.
hunters of Minnesota? And
We have some of
MHM?
our members who are members of other hunting organizations. I don't know if any of our members have ever gotten together to go hunting. Not that I recall.
Well, I know.
But I know there's a common interest there. But
Well, didn't you go with Sharon last year?
yes, I did. So that was my
There
own
you go. Wow,
my own
good
personal
job.
story. I actually have never hunted before, but I love to target shoot with my compound bow, which is also
Sure, super fun.
set up for hunting. So decided to put it to its fullest use this year, and I
Yeah.
went deer hunting for the first time. No, didn't even see a deer, but it was an awesome learning day.
Yeah. it's
I
fun.
learned so much. That was at the end of the season, so unfortunately that was the only time I went out. But now I'm going turkey hunting in a few weeks. So
But that she had put something out there in our members only Facebook group, and one of
Yep.
the other members
Reach out to her. It's pretty
invited
cool.
her out.
yeah, that was
Sharon
really nice of
Rittenauer
her.
has been really cool. The first, Aaron and I joined WHAM the same exact year, and that first winter, Sharon even invited us up to learn how to use augers and everything else. So
Yeah, that was one of my first times ice fishing where I really got the full experience of setting everything up yourself, learning how to drill the
That's
holes.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so Sharon's been a really good role model and a good educator for the next generation. So we're very thankful for her. She's definitely an asset to our club. And I know she's done that with more people than just myself. I
Yep.
know Patty, too, with tournament, and you're fishing with Sharon this year.
Yep, she invited me to fish the tournament with her this year.
Yeah.
So.
Fun.
And her
fun.
daughters are in the club, and her granddaughters are in the club, and they help at all of our events. So when we say we really are like a whamily, that's been our new
So whamily.
our new hashtag going around. Yeah, it's in the true sense of the word, literally and figuratively.
And we've had a lot of people learn from each other. I mean, look at Patty Johnson's story and Pat Houseland. Patty really wanted to learn how to fish for muskie and really wanted to catch a muskie. And Pat started inviting her along, and they started going out together. And Patty caught her first muskie with
Yeah,
Sweet.
Pat
I
Houseland.
think it was a
so.
tiger muskie
Yep.
too.
Oh, I still have yet to catch
I
one
know.
of those. I
Me
want one.
either.
So we have a lot of those stories where people go into the Facebook group and say, I have an open seat, or does anybody have an open seat? And I think we've got a lot of long life friendships that are being made in our group too.
Sweet. Yeah, that's definitely a bond. I mean, anything outdoors, when you share it with whoever it is, fellow women or family members, anybody, it's just that there's a shared element to it. You know, you're out using your outdoor skills, if you will. So there's like not necessarily a survival
Right.
instinct, but I think at like a genetic level, it's kind of in us.
Yep.
The hunter foragers from way back. I think
common
it's that.
bond.
Yeah, you get that commonality, and you form like really strong friendships that you just aren't going to form over drinking a beer at
Yep.
the bar, or whatever, whatever the pastime. Definitely not going to build that kind of a bond, over like Snapchat or
Yep.
whatever on some sort of technology. Like it's just not. There's no risk involved. And I think the risk involved, and it might be slight, but if you're on the water, in a boat, there's an element of risk there.
Right.
Your equipment fails or whatever. So anytime I think there's an element of risk, the people that are sharing that experience, there's some sort of bond that's happening there.
For sure.
You're, got to look out for
You're
each
all
other
in it
and-
together,
yeah,
kind of
for
a
sure.
mentality.
You're
Yeah.
relying on somebody else, and it's just naturally going to form a bond. But
And I think we have three. I like to say that we have three different kinds of members. We have the members that are married, and they can't really learn from their significant others. They're better off learning from other people, and so that's a good reason for this group. Or the significant other is going off on a weekend trip, and instead of being left home, they want to go find their own fishing to do.
sure.
The other kind of member that we have is single people like me who have grown up fishing, but they just want to learn more and learn different techniques. All my dad ever did was, and still does at the age of 84, is troll with a yellow Mr. Twister, period, the end.
Pretty much describe
The
my
old
old
tried
man.
and true.
You know,
you
he wanted to
described-
learn different ways.
You described my old man, except instead of the Mr. Twister, it was a Lindy Little Joe Spinner. He would get crazy and change up
Yeah.
spinner color once in a while.
Right.
And then the only other variance was what type of bait, minnow, leech, or worm. That's it. And they're troll between 8 and 14 feet of water. They're either biting or they weren't.
So, for me, it's learning more about something I love. And then we have the members that learn to love fishing when they were in a relationship. And all of a sudden, that relationship isn't there anymore. And they don't have any girlfriends
An
that
outlet
fish.
that fish, yeah.
So they've joined the club. They've made new friends. They've
Got
learned
their own
new
equipment.
things. They've gotten their own equipment. One of the advantages of being a member of Women Anglers in Minnesota is we do have some good gear discounts in the industry,
Nice.
and so they.
We even have loaner equipment like Vexars and
Oh, super
hub
cool.
shacks and heaters and rods for the people who don't, they're not able to invest in their own equipment just yet, or maybe they're testing it out. And
That's awesome, because that
Yeah.
definitely can be a barrier.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know? I mean, some people just don't have it.
Exactly. And whatever that barrier is, whether it's financial or it's transportation or, someone to fish with, anything like that that could come up that might make someone feel like they don't have a place or that they're not able to do something. That's our main mission, is to try to break down those barriers and give them, help them out with those things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And on the subject of equipment, you're a new boat owner.
I am. Yep, it's coming up on a year. It'll be a year in July. So we had a short time together
exciting.
last season.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, it is. I'm having some withdrawals right now, but
Does it have a name? Did you name it?
yes, I even have a decal on it.
I knew it.
Guess what it is?
I have no idea.
Misbehavin'.
Nice.
Now, you're really good at that.
Mike Johnson actually helped
really?
me. Yeah, that was his idea. I was like, oh, I kind of like that. It's a little sassy,
little sassy.
Yeah,
Pretty much like you.
Yeah. I do have a sassy streak in me, not gonna lie.
I don't see that at all.
But yeah, first boat. A couple of my family members have cabins, so I've grown up being in the boat, but never really driving the boat. I practiced a little bit with my friend Kristen, who's also the president of our club. Luckily, she was able to take me out a bunch beforehand and just get me comfortable. And actually, that's what kind of gave me the push to actually go boat shopping, because I think you have all these ideas in your head that you can't do something until you actually do it, and you're like, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Yeah, so
it is weird. I like
that's just a typical example of how we help each other out and encourage and push each other to reach that next goal. So, proud boat owner.
Got it all tricked out.
Yeah. It's got a couple little bells and whistles on it, but it's a pretty good starter boat, I think. 16.5-foot single console or side console.
Yeah.
I upgraded the motor on it because I do have, that little need for speed, I must say. So
Misbehaving.
Exactly. She lives up to her name.
Yeah. Is she fast?
Yeah, she goes pretty quick.
Nice.
She goes about 40, 45 when she's topped out. So, yeah, this year my mission is to just get more my fellow women anglers in the boat with me. Last year was kind of my learning year. So, that is one of the main reasons why I was able to integrate so well in the club, because people gave me those opportunities. So really looking forward to just giving back, and hopefully if I can just inspire one other of our members to have the courage or even just the insight as to that you can have a boat and you can do this too. That's what we're going for.
Super liberating. I mean, I remember there's been times I've been like super broken. I didn't have a boat and super crabby.
Yeah.
And people, why don't you just fish offshore? I'm like, yeah, I can do that, but like the analogy I gave my wife was like, yep, that I would technically be fishing, but it's not the same. I said it would be like you're too broke to buy a book because she just likes to read. So why don't you just read over somebody's shoulder? You're still reading.
Yeah.
You're not really enjoying it.
Or read the cereal box.
Yeah, I mean, technically you're reading. I mean, why can't you just do that?
Yeah. It's good
She's
enough,
like,
right?
She goes, I get it. That makes
Yep.
sense. I'm like, yeah, I need to get a boat. Some big steel and rob. I don't know what I got to do, but gotta.
Well, Patty has a pretty good boat story, too.
Well, mine is a 3-generation. My grandfather bought it in 1960, brand new. It's a 14-foot Crestliner. Bought it brand new in 1960. Bought the 18-horse Johnson pull start.
For like $50, the whole package, right?
No, he bought it. Well,
No,
I don't know
things
what
were cheap back then.
Yeah, they were. But and then he bought the motor 3 years later. So he had the 60, and then the motor's in 1963. And I like to give people grief. Don't you even say a word about my motor being old, because it was born the same year I was. But it's so funny because my grandfather saved everything. We had all of the brochures from when he bought it, and even the letter when he got the boat, and it was like a color he wasn't expecting, and he wrote a letter to Crestliner saying, why isn't my boat blue?
Oh, wow. You must have
And-
not been able to pick your boat
and
color
he
back
wrote-
Apparently not.
And, well, the brochure showed blue,
Oh.
and the
Okay.
boat that came was red and
Red.
silver,
Yeah,
which
most
it still is
popular,
today.
yeah.
And I didn't grow up fishing here in Minnesota because I'm a military brat. So when we finally moved back here in 75, within a couple of years, my grandfather was gone. So then it became my father's first boat. And he fished in it until 96 when he retired. But at that point, I couldn't get it from him. So it went to an uncle, and then finally, 8 years later, we had always told my uncle that when he was ready to sell it, he had to offer it back to the family before he sold it. So I went, I guess I'm buying a boat. So I bought the, I got the boat, and then that following winter, I bought my first house, and I had a boyfriend at the time, and he always handled the boat. So I had started learning how to handle it, but then he always just took over.
Sure.
Well, then 5 or 6 years later, now I'm back to handling it myself, and I had to start
Captain
all over
Patty.
again, learning how to handle it. But I've been back in boats and trailers and that kind of stuff 7 or 8 years. And
Nice.
So, that's one of those things that everybody's a little scared about is back in the trailer. I think more people are afraid of that than actually handling the boat on the water.
More people
My biggest challenge,
learn.
honestly, is coming into the dock.
You're right.
Really?
That
Yeah, I can
once you're
get
on
it
the
in and
water,
out
that's
fine, but I don't know. I just my depth perception or something. I've had a couple dingers. Not gonna lie.
women drivers.
They should give us all
Bigger bumpers.
those pool noodles that
Yeah.
you can put
Yeah.
Yeah.
for like the first 2 months that you
Coming
own
in
it.
hot.
Exactly. Yep.
You're right. Once I was on the water, that was my biggest concern.
Yeah.
Was coming into the dock. It
See,
wasn't
when
being
I
out
was
there.
starting
It
to learn how to
wasn't-
drive a boat, I was always surprised at how fast a boat would stop. Like once you killed the motor, I'm like, I always kill it too early. I'm like, oh man, I'm coming in so fast to kill the motor. I'm like, and there's the dock way over there. Now I come screaming in because I got the Ranger.
Yeah. It definitely takes practice. That's one thing I've
Yeah,
learned.
it's like anything. I mean, it just
Yeah.
the more you do it. You know,
I had
you
a
get to
couple
learn the
days where I
equipment.
just went and just did the basics, didn't even fish, in and out.
Sure.
Dock and then circle back around. My boyfriend, do it again, do it again, do it again. So,
So when you're left to your own devices and you're going fishing, what do you like to fish for?
I'm a true multi-species angler. Usually I love to fish for big panfish and then bass. I think the high caliber trophy panfish are just amazing to me.
Even in the summertime?
Yes. I fish for panfish year round pretty much. Of course, the bigger ones are always fun, but I can sit on a pile of crappies or sunfish all day, no matter what size they are, and have fun.
Smash them, yeah.
Yeah, bass fishing, obviously in the summer, and I love spring and fall with topwater presentations. Those are probably my favorite. This winter, I actually got into a little bit of walleye fishing, so that was really fun. I'm excited to pick that up again next year. And then last summer, I recently got into muskie fishing.
Nice.
So, yep, every year I try to take on a little bit something new, and I feel like I've kind of mastered
Sure,
one thing.
yeah.
And moving on, of course, I'm always learning, but, it's time to expand your horizons every once in a while. So,
I pretty much stick to panfish in the winter, but
yeah.
with that said,
A lot of
I
people
always
do.
have an ultralight in my rod
Yep.
locker so I'm fishing for bass. And you come across like some spawning crappies or bluegills, or
Yeah.
you just stumble. If you're out there flipping docks or whatever, and a couple giant bluegills come sprinting out, it's like, whoop, let's pick this little
Right.
flu jig and flip that out there
Yeah.
and catch that guy into the box. Like just while I'm fishing for bass, I'll incidentally get a meal. It's
Right.
like, perfect.
Yeah, it's best both worlds.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do you you trout fish at all?
I actually went trout fishing for the first time a couple years ago, open water. I don't know if you've ever been to the Brule River up in northern Wisconsin.
I have not. I know where it is. I have not
It's
actually
like
fished there.
pristine water trout fishing. You could sight fish trout all day long.
They
It's
get
just
don't they get pretty big browns? in
they
there?
do, and I think brook trout are pretty popular. Rainbow, there's a lot of rainbow trout. I caught my first rainbow there. Pretty small, but
Wasn't that was Wisconsin women
yep,
fish?
Wisconsin Women Fish. They're another
okay.
women's fishing club in Wisconsin, not affiliated with WHAM, but similar concept. So that was one of their trips I actually went on. And then this winter, I've been trying to do this trip for 3 years, but because it's in Milwaukee, sometimes they don't get good ice every
Yeah,
year.
right,
It's
yep.
too warm there. So
Yep.
the past 2 years, this trip has gotten canceled due to poor ice conditions, but this year we finally made it work with all the cold and the
So
snow.
Yeah, right.
And I landed a nice big brown trout, the one I've been dreaming of.
Nice.
For
See,
this
that's
long.
on my bucket list.
And it was probably the most fun fish I've ever reeled in. Just because they fight so hard, and then, you get them to the top and you can see them under the ice and then right back down to the bottom. We did that probably 2-3 times before I finally wore her out.
Nice.
So
how big was it?
I don't remember the exact length, but I think it was around a 10-pound fish, they said. So
Nice. That's
yeah.
a big fish.
It was pretty big. Big for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I know
No,
that
I showed me
Milwaukee
the picture
Harbor.
earlier. It's a big fish.
Yeah, that
It's a big fish for anybody.
Milwaukee Harbor holds huge trout. I think they're all
Once you
stocked
start
and
getting
managed,
a
but
double-digit trout, that's a big
I know.
trout.
Yeah. So there's bigger out there. I think I'm gonna try again next winter if the
You
conditions
dabbled
pan
into
out.
fly fishing at all?
I did fly fish on that one trip I mentioned to the Brule River. I didn't catch anything, but man, I just give a lot of respect to fly anglers. It takes so much patience and coordination. So
You want to know a good way to break in to fly fishing is for panfish, for
Yep.
bluegills.
Yep.
Those things will destroy anything that remotely looks like a bug. Actually, they'll destroy anything that fits in their mouth, and a lot of stuff that won't. They'll just peck at it. But you can
Good
sit up there
tip.
on the deck of on your boat, especially if they're spawning. You get over a spawning bed,
and when they're up
Dude,
shallow
you're
and
gonna have so much fun.
yeah,
Like, it's ridiculous.
that's a good tip. I
Even
never
even
knew
before
that.
spawning, you get there early, like a couple weeks after ice out, when the fish move really shallow. Those dark northern bays are starting to warm up, and they're in there feeding on minnows or
Yep.
whatever. And you throw like a woolly bugger fly, which is just a
Ooh, basic.
it's not. Yeah, it's really basic.
I've seen those. I
It's
think.
just like it doesn't even matter what color. Honestly, you just cast that thing out there and you just kind of strip it back. You'll have so much fun. It's so much fun.
My trouble
love
is
it.
the actual getting the fly to the spot you want it to go to.
Yeah, no, it takes a little bit. It takes a
Yeah.
little bit to do, and one of the biggest hurdles is like the mindset. You have to remember when you're fly fishing is you're not casting the lure, you're casting the line.
Yep.
And I think that's what people, they keep trying to force the fly out there, and you're casting the line. So it's like you don't even really pay attention to what the lure is doing. It's more of the line, and it's rhythm. If you don't have rhythm, you're going to be a shitty fly fisherman.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it.
Yep. I'm going to try my hand at it again. Maybe we should
You should. It's fun.
do something with Wham because we get a lot of women asking about fly fishing.
We have a lot of women that fly fish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. It'd be a lot of fun. It's super easy to learn because you're not casting a lure, you don't even really need to tie on a lure. So you could just put like almost anything on the end of a line just so you can kind of see where it lands. Like the end of the line, put like I don't know, get some colored like electrical tape or something just so you can see. Go out in the back. Somebody's got a big yard or
Yeah.
a soccer
I have
field
to
or
do
whatever,
that for bass.
and just practice out there. Nobody's going to get hooked. Nobody, you
Exactly.
can't. I mean, and once you get that down, then
I think
you
we've
put
all
a lure on.
practiced in our backyards with various things
Oh,
at
for
some
sure.
point or another.
Yeah.
And
That's how I learned to cast my bait caster in my parents'
And see, that's what I
There's
have to
nothing
do
wrong with
is
that.
because I'm my father's daughter. I learned how. I mean, my dad was always just fishing for walleye and crappie. That's what he eats.
Right.
He wouldn't even
Yeah.
eat bluegills, so I didn't even
Oh.
learn how to eat.
Freak.
Well, you understand, my dad got out of the Air Force at 42. I had to teach my 80-plus-year-old dad how to bobber fish. He didn't even know how to
Wow.
bobber fish. So,
Oh, that's my favorite.
You
That's
know,
my
and
jam.
so-
bobber fishing.
but number one, I don't eat fish, so I don't care what I'm catching. So I am trying to learn more, and that's one of those things with this club. Last year, we did the internal fish donkey tournament. It's
an
fish
app.
donkey.
It's like a
app.
virtual
Fish
tournament.
donkey. Okay. I've heard of
Yeah.
that.
And we
No.
had a bluegill contest, and so it kind of forced me to go out and
Sure.
Yeah.
try to
there you
learn
go.
and focus on, catching bluegills. And last year, I think we did a catfish one.
Yep, we did catfish.
Fish last year, and this year we've got a catfish one coming, catfish and carp one coming up that's going to run 2 months with the
Nice.
Fish Donkey app. That's one thing we did this year was we had our first virtual ice fishing tournament for the whole U.S. We had
500 people.
over
Florida
500
come in?
women register. It
It
had
was
to be through
crappies
the ice.
only.
I'm just kidding.
Crappies only, and it had
That's
to
why I
be
said
through the
Florida.
ice.
Like,
But I
see
know
the whole
we had at
country.
least
Yeah, there's a few states that are they're not gonna play so hot.
But we had at least 9 or 10 women from at least 9 or 10 states participated.
Yeah.
In it. So, the club kind of, if you want to, gives you opportunities to try something new and try something different. Whether it's events like that, or the
Yeah.
virtual Fish Donkey app, or whatever it is.
That sounds
So-
like fun. That would be interesting. How do they go about, like, how do you register it? How do you know someone's not gaming the system?
Well, it all has to be done in real time. So, like, if I catch a crappie, I have to get out my app and take a picture of it on the ruler.
Okay.
And then you take a picture of you holding it. And you take a video of the release because it has to be catch and release.
Oh, okay. That's
And
cool.
because it's all done in real time, you can't upload pictures from your gallery. And then somebody actually manually goes through and verifies or, makes sure that the fish is legal and meets the requirements. And yeah, we had a ton of really good sponsors this year who donated all of the prizes for the top 25 winners.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was a really huge success, and I think we'll probably do it again next year. And our sponsors are just awesome to us, and they believe in our mission and what we're doing. And like I said, the industry's changing so much, and I think people are really catching on to this. So,
Bobber fishing, huh?
yeah, I love bobber
Gotta
fishing.
work on that.
It's so elementary, but it's so fun. I just feel like there's no
There's
better
some
feeling
imagery
than
to it that's
watching
really
your
cool,
bobber
watching that
go
bobber.
down.
There is something really cool about
is.
that. Do I know what else is really cool?
What?
You have to take a 32nd ounce jig, and you cast it out there, and you just like swim, hop it back, and then it just disappears because a crappie come
Something
bolting out of the
gobbled it
cabbage
up.
and ate it.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Anytime you can see what's happening to your bait and then it disappears, whether it's your
Yeah,
bobber
That's super fun.
flying under or your
I
jig
so
getting
rarely
thumped.
use a bobber, like
Yeah.
especially in the wintertime.
Yeah,
Well,
I
the
don't
only time
bobber
I use
fish
a
in the
bobber is
winter.
if I have,
I'm a
like,
jigger.
on my
But see, I do
Except
because
for walleyes,
I mean,
I
I've been
dead
ice
stick
fishing
walleyes
for
sometimes.
just less than 4 years, and so I'm in my hub. I've got one hole here and one hole here. Of course, I'm the kind that I'm not necessarily going out and hole hopping. Which, if you're doing that, you are only using one hole. But I'm, finding the fish, setting up the hub, and so I'll have two holes. One's got my bobber in it, and the other one I'm jigging out of it.
I can't even imagine only drilling 2 holes.
I'm
Well,
a hole
well,
hopper.
I'm drilling more than that,
I'm a serial
but
hole
You know-
hopper.
once I find the fish, I'm sitting there.
50
But-
holes is like I'm just getting warmed up.
But I'm
you
just
must
getting,
have a really good auger.
I'm just getting used. I'm just learning, and so
Yeah.
that's the
There's-
way
That's
that
cool.
There
I
are some
learned from
days
with
where
somebody like that.
you just want to plant down and,
No.
just
No,
relax with the
no.
heater on,
No,
watch
there's not.
watch a football
No.
game.
Nope.
And then there's other days where you want to stay on those fish and you got
If
to
I
move
ha-
around. So
I honestly, I don't know if it's just, I just
I
can't-
get it.
I
Well,
can't
you're a
sit still.
guide,
I just
so
can't
it's
sit
not in
still.
your
I
nature
can't
to do
sit
that.
still. Well, I can
more
now,
common
like,
with
in a
women.
wheelhouse, like because I'm in a different state of mind then. It's like you set up a wheelhouse, it's super comfy in there. You're gonna crack a beer or whatever, and just gonna sit there. And it's like when you're doing that, it's like if I catch a fish, great. If not, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I don't think it's all that. It's just common with men and women. I know a lot of guys that go out and they set up their hub and they fish out of their hub. And
Tons
if
of
it's-
people do.
Or
Yeah,
they're flip
it's
over and they
really
go.
dependent
It's
on
not
each
happening there.
individual.
Then they move on and punch
Yeah.
a couple more holes and.
I talk to people on the ice all the time, and so often I'll talk to somebody who's got their holes, their flip over, their hub, or just a bucket, and they're fishing their 2 holes, or maybe they're like going crazy and they got 6 to 8 holes out there. And it's the same story. Like, oh, how you keeping any, you're catching any, or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's kind of slow finding some dink perch. I'm like, how long you
Keep
been out
moving.
there? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you're 4 hours, just don't see
Well,
me biting. I'm thinking,
Kind of wonder why, you know.
well, I've been smashing them, so, but I haven't been sitting in one spot either.
Yeah,
So
yep.
kind of got to go to the fish. sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of the key, but like I said, it's kind of different for everybody. Everybody gets what they
It
want
is, and
out
it's
of
what.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it's what they want. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they can hole hop. Maybe they don't have the physicality to hole hop, and it's like,
Yep.
it was hard enough for them to drag their carcass out and drill 2 holes and plop down.
I get like that when it's really windy, like when the elements, but I'm like, I'd rather just be out on the ice than do anything else right now. So I'm going to bring my shack and my heater, and I'm just going to see what circles through.
Yeah. That's better than sitting on the couch. I've never caught a fish on the couch. ever.
Exactly.
Not
Well, and it
once.
kind of depends on who you learn from. The people I learned from were the kind that went out. They
And
they
just set up
punch
and-
holes
Yeah.
until they found fish, and then they set up their hub or
Yeah, I
their
was a
shack
hole
or
hopper
whatever.
before hole hopping was cool with the hand auger
Yep.
way back in the
Oh,
day. Me and my old
wow.
dad, my old man would go out and we'd get on a point and we'd just start drilling holes.
Wow.
until we found out where the fish were at. No, he was
That's
more of a
crazy.
sit down and
But once
fish
he
them
found
once he
them-
found them. But I would still move around.
Oh, okay.
You know, I just never was one to just sit
Yeah.
still. I just
There are
don't.
some days where I'm like
It's probably
hell-bent
works
on
against
catching
me
fish,
at sometimes.
you know.
Which I probably should sit still when you're on like a high traffic area, if it's bottleneck, whatever, and fish are moving through. I could be moving too often, and like I moved right before the fish came back around the hole or something. I've seen that happen to me a few times, so it's not always the best
Yeah.
method for sure. I just don't have the patience to sit there. Oh man, back in the day before electronics, I don't even know how I did it. Without a Vexilar, I mean, just
Yeah. There was a couple
honestly
days.
don't know. How. I mean, I am a slave to that machine.
Yeah.
100% admit it. If I don't have it, if I forgot
You
it,
feel just
I'm either buying a
helpless.
new one or I'm going home and I'm getting that one. I don't care if I'm 4 hours late to wherever I
Yeah.
was going. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. It's
Well, you
definitely a
know-
safety blanket.
Once I started learning how to ice fish, that was the first thing I bought was a Vexilar. You
Not a
know,
bad
when I
purchase.
first went ice fishing the first time ever, I had a rod that
Yeah,
I
I
had
remember
bought it
when
in
you
an
bought your Vexilar.
I had bought a rod in an estate sale, and I had a couple of jigs. And that's what I went with the first time I went ice fishing. But then I eventually got my first rod, and then one of the people were inviting me to go along with them,
Sure.
and I realized the first thing I needed before I bought anything else, auger, shelter, or anything, was I needed to get a flasher. And I picked up a used one, and that's the one I've still got. And I'm
Nice.
hopefully going to be upgrading next year. Tried this year, but
Me too. I got my eye on that
Expensive.
28.
Oh, it's nice.
I know.
have it.
I used it a couple times this year, and then I went back to mine. And I was like, womp,
Especially
womp.
when you're hole hopping because it has the auto depth function.
The
on
zoom,
it.
yes.
Auto zoom, so
I feel like it's better
nice.
for fishing in deeper water too,
Yeah.
because like we went to Devil's Lake this year, and my Vexilar, even on like the highest number setting or whatever to do the depth, it was still not functioning right. But everybody that had a 28 seemed to be doing just fine. So as you expand and grow, I've noticed that I started investing in equipment that's going to
it's
help
pretty
me.
natural transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you just learn more, you're honing the blade. I mean,
Right.
you're getting it down to more of a science, and you're picking up on the little details. And, it makes a difference in the long run for sure.
Yeah.
I myself, I got lucky and I won my ion and my hub in a raffle.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
she has a horseshoe up her you know
Nice.
where.
No, that was 3 years ago, though.
But
I haven't
still,
done
I
that
feel like
kind
you're
of stuff,
always
but
winning stuff.
If I wouldn't have won them, I don't know that I'd
Yeah.
have them yet.
That's awesome.
You know, have my own, probably gone out and bought a used auger. And I shouldn't say this, but at my age and my height, going out and
Or
getting
lack
on a big
thereof.
auger. I mean, for our ice tournament on Mille Lacs, we were using extensions, and those things are like,
above my head.
I'm
Yeah.
5'1", and I'm like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
5 foot nothing.
Wait a second. Give me credit my inch and a quarter.
These
But,
short people
yeah,
like
I
those
just-
quarters.
But,
Every quarter counts.
Yeah.
And
I'm on Team Short Girl.
And in our members only group, women can go into the ice fishing groups, the regular general ice fishing groups, and ask which is the best auger, which one's the best, kind of stuff. But what might be better for a guy might not, it might be better. Something
sure.
different might be better for
Yeah.
a woman, and it all depends on the woman too. I personally am really incompetent when it comes to combustible engines.
Wasn't it? You guys
So
have you-
Electric
gas
is like
auger.
awesome.
So
have
using
you
a
used
gas
have you
auger,
used the
forget
K
it.
drill at all?
Oh yeah, I own
I've
one.
used it. I
Love
have
my
the
K-drill.
ion. We have a lot of the ladies have the K-drill.
I like
Yeah,
that
it's on a
plate that
clamp.
And I've
comes with
seen
it.
a lot of men
Clam.
with them.
Yep.
I mean, I
It's
think
so much lighter than like even the Ion or
I
the
know.
Strike Master.
Mhm, yeah, oh, yeah.
And if you are a hole hopper, it's awesome. But even if you're not, like as
Yeah.
a woman, if you don't want to lug a giant thing around, the K drill's super light.
and even the guys don't want it. They
No,
they
I
don't
want
wanna-
mine. I want mine. Like we.
They don't want to
move
drag around something
We'll
that's
pack into like these
so
like remote
expensive.
lakes and stuff like that. I don't want to haul around a heavy ass auger.
No.
I want light.
Yep,
Light and
especially when
fast.
you're moving around.
Well, I think I saw one of the fishing groups did a poll on who's using what kind of augers, you know. And electric was right up there at the top. They didn't break it down into ion versus, you know, the Strike Master Lithium or the K-Drill, but the electric is really right up there at the top. I mean, that's a Facebook group who has 70,000 members, and the majority of them were putting in there the electric.
I believe
I
it.
love it. But, you know, we had to use, because of an emergency, you know, run out of batteries or whatever, we had to use a power auger a couple times, and it was like, holy crap, is this thing heavy?
I know.
That's
But
what used
I
to
don't
whip
know. I
around
used a gas
back in the
auger for
day.
the first time this winter, actually. And that thing just cuts like butter. They're so
They have the
reliable. They
power.
are more
There's-
maintenance, but yeah, I thought that was
Without a
the
doubt.
easiest. It didn't get caught up. I didn't have to throw it in reverse. It went to the bottom super fast.
Well, the K-Drill's
I
nice
really
for that.
liked
It's
it.
really good for reopening holes, too, which is awesome, especially if you have, like, a nice house. and
Yeah.
it's open. K-Drill's great
Yeah.
for that.
Great invention, right?
Yeah, super good. I think my battery's getting weaker, so we should probably wrap this up before it cuts off on us. So, pimp out all your social media and how people can get a hold of you.
So our website's probably your first best bet. That's going to have everything that you need to know about membership, what we have coming up for events, different programs, and stuff that we offer. You can also sign up there. Membership's $25 a year. It includes access to seasonal fishing trips, 2 tournaments a year, quarterly membership meetings where we have, you know, an update of what's going on, a social aspect, and then an educational piece too. We usually have a guest speaker that comes. We have awesome collection of discounts from a lot of our sponsors, a lot of other companies that support women in fishing, substantial discounts. And yeah, just access to 700 other women that like to fish. So for $25 a year, I think you get a lot for your money. So that's our website. You can sign up there. We also have a Facebook page, a public page. You can find us under Women Anglers of Minnesota. And then if you do join, you get access to our private Facebook group where people are always kind of communicating about going fishing together or sharing best practices. So, we also recently joined Instagram. Yeah, so go on
You want to
Instagram.
know what's super exciting about Instagram?
What?
So you post to Instagram and just click a little button on your Instagram app and it does Facebook for you.
Yeah, it shares to Facebook.
It actually does Twitter and Tumblr too, but I don't tweet
Oh,
or
okay.
Tumble.
Yeah, we
so-
don't do that. Or Snapchat. We haven't gotten
Yeah,
into Snapchat yet, but
Ooh, you're not in Snapchat yet? I was like, I don't think I'm following you
no,
on
we've
Snapchat.
thought about it for kind of trying to
You
reach
should.
some of our younger
Should do it
members.
for sure.
Yeah.
Fire it up.
Come on,
Get her done.
social media queen, get
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, queen.
No, our members, I mean, it's a members only group, whether it's, you know, trying to figure out what size, you know, how do muck boots, you know, fit for sizing,
Yeah,
you know, do I
sure.
need to get, I mean, whether it's that or what rods or what reels or, I mean, going in there and ask a lot of different questions. And with our discounts and everything else, you make up that $25 really, really fast. It
25
pays
bucks
for
is not-
itself.
Yeah. That's especially if you're getting those
Pretty
discounts.
fast.
Exactly. You get a lot for your money. But yeah,
Pretty fast.
that's where to find us. And our contact information is on the website too if anybody has any questions or wants to know more before they join. A lot of people kind of hang out on the outskirts and just watch what we're doing for a little bit before they
Sure.
end up joining. So we totally get that, but we welcome
Yeah, don't be
everybody.
afraid,
and
jump in.
Exactly.
Well, and I always recommend when people join the Facebook group, I always recommend, you know, create a post introducing yourself, where you live, what you like to fish for. And I mean, most of those posts ends up with 20 or 30 different
Comments and
comments
likes. and-
about where I
anybody's curious
live or I
about it.
live in your area.
Yeah,
And
and they're on the fence. You shouldn't be on the fence. Just
Just
do it.
do it.
There's,
Do it.
there's nobody
You really
that's
have
gonna
nothing
keep
to
you from
lose.
it.
You have so much more you could possibly
Yeah.
gain. And
It's not. You have.
yeah,
there's
this club has
no
given
one-
me so much. Even
you
as
don't
a
need to be
board
afraid of
member,
anything, just
it's
do it.
given me more than what I've put in. So
well, I have Facebook friends that I met through the other fishing groups. A couple of the ladies, they were my Facebook friends for 2 years before they actually took the leap and joined WHAM. I kept trying to push them into it, and I kept sharing all of the stuff that we were doing and the events we were doing, and
Every time you say it, I get the song stuck in my head.
you're making up a little
and
jingle for
they
us.
finally
before
finally
you go.
joined, and they don't regret it for a minute, and
No, they're like the
they
best
dove
thing that they've ever done.
head first into it. You know,
Yeah.
not everybody has to do that, but a couple of those friends dove head first, and they've gotten involved. And
This
That's
club is
awesome.
really what you,
don't look
make
back.
of it. You know, you can participate in as little as you want or as much as you want. So there's something really for everybody. And yeah, if you're a woman out there who loves to fish at least check us out. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. See what we're about.
That's awesome. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Hey,
This
thanks
was
for
really
being on.
fun
This is great. And
hear
if
about
you
your
guys
outdoor
have any,
excursions and your chickens and.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Teach you how to find some mushrooms.
You're
We
just
do
a jack
sorts
of all
stuff.
trades.
We do a wham mushroom hunt session or something.
Yeah. That'd be
Um,
awesome. Foraging.
But
101.
anytime you guys have stuff coming up in the future, just reach out,
For sure.
get you on, and
Yeah.
just another outlet for you guys to get the word out.
Well, thank you for that.
everybody,
Yeah.
anybody,
Thank you for reaching out to us.
The more and more people that get involved in the outdoors, whatever it is,
The better. We're out.
the
We're
better,
all off.
because
Yep.
our voices are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The cities are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
So we just have to scream louder.
Like you
Can't
said,
find
we're
more
all in
people.
it together.
Yep,
you know?
absolutely.
Common
Gotta-
bond.
100%. All right, ladies, I really appreciate it, and I'll try to send as many people I can your way.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.